Golf Smarter, number 675, is brought to you by Autoslash.com. Need the best price for a car rental? Autoslash always finds the best deals by scouring the internet for coupons and promotions. Then they track your reservation for price drops so you can rebook and save even more. Visit Autoslash.com and you'll never overpay for a car rental again. And stay tuned to hear how you can win a $100 Amazon gift card from Golf Smarter and Autoslash.com. In the recording studio where golf and rock and roll collide with Grammy-winning producer and club champion Val Garay.
This is Golf Smarter, sharing stories, tips, and insights from great golf minds to help you lower your score and raise your golf IQ. Here's your host, Fred Greene.
Welcome to the Golf Smarter podcast, Val.
Hi, Fred.
How are you? Well,
great. Sort of.
All right, that's a loaded question. You and I have been having a conversation for a minute. You're not in great shape right now. You had a terrible ski accident that was like not really a ski accident.
Yeah, right.
I'm
stupid. Sorry. I hate it.
Give me a quick brief overrun so we can get everyone going, oh.
Getting off the chairlift the first day, top of the mountain, first run, got my ski tangled up with my wife. She turned right, I went left, and my leg went right, and I tore my ACL.
Oh.
Simple. But luckily it's not a bad tear, and it's near the top, so it's supposed to scar down, and I've been doing physical therapy, and the doctor, who's the best knee guy in the business, said that in 3 or 4 weeks I could play golf again, and 6 weeks I could ski again. So, what's funny to me about this whole thing is that all my close friends that are kind of like in my peer group all go, "You're too old to ski."
Right.
And I'm like, what are they talking about? I'm in great shape. I love skiing, I don't think it's got anything to do with age.
Yeah, it does.
I got guys I ski with that are older than I am.
Yeah, but here's the issue. At our age, it just takes so much longer to recover. That's the problem.
Healing is, but I heal pretty fast still. But
really,
the bottom line still, I do. I have great genetics, man. I mean, I had 14 years ago. My cholesterol was a little elevated, and my best friend at the time, who passed away last year, who was a cardiologist, one of the top guys in the business, he said to me, "I want you to go get a calcium scan done of your heart." Have you ever had that done?
No.
Yeah, it's funny. Insurance companies don't pay for it either. Now they do. But when you have elevated cholesterol, the cholesterol calcifies, and that's what's called heart disease or arteriosclerosis. So I had a calcium scan done, and my score was 0, which meant, he said, that I had an enzyme in my DNA that prevented the cholesterol from calcifying, so I didn't have to take any cholesterol-lowering medication. Then my doctor present this year, or at the end of last year, said, "You need to get another calcium scan done." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because, you haven't had one done in a while." And I said, "Well, it's only 5 or 6 years ago." He goes, "No, Val, it was 14 years ago." So I had it done again, and again, my score was 0. So, and he said, "I've never seen anybody in your age group with a 0 score." So he said, "You have an enzyme that prevents it from calcifying." So I don't take anything for it. But I have crazy genetics. Crazy.
Amazing. Well, lucky you.
Yeah.
But you still got injured, and you still have to recover. Hopefully it'll be quick.
I'm recovering fast.
Great.
I mean, all the guys at the rehab say it. They've never seen anybody make this much progress this quick either. So I'm thrilled.
And the priority is to get back on the golf course before you get back on the ski slopes, right?
Yeah. Well, we probably won't go skiing again until the end of March,
Right.
But I'll be able to do it then.
And before the injury, how often were you playing golf?
Twice a week.
Okay. And
maybe 3 times sometimes.
How's your game?
Good, really good. I won a bunch of tournaments, and I have a really good golf game. I mean, I shoot in the low 80s, high 70s, and I can play.
Awesome. What's the best part of your game?
I'm a good all-around player. I drive the ball well. I hit it straight. Hit irons good. I chip good, putt good. I just have a good all-around game.
Congratulations.
I was a member, Riviera Country Club for 35 years, so I learned to play on a tough golf course.
Who did you study with? Or did you?
I did a lot of studying with Dean Rymouth, who was the first guy on the Golf Channel and who was also Phil Mickelson's coach for the first 17 years of his career.
A great guy. He's been on the show. He's been on the podcast.
He's great. He's a great guy. Yeah. In fact, I talked to him yesterday. He always calls me up and says, I want you to work on this, and then he tells me what he wants to do. It's great.
As a matter of fact, he was on the show because of the same publicist that you have. Just so happens.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, he's good. You know, I mean, he knows the game.
Yeah.
So I would say he was the main one, and then my friend Fred Gibbons, who I've been playing golf with for 30-some years, who was a scratch golfer his whole life. He really understands the golf thing, and he helps me a lot, too.
That's great. What's the best advice you've ever received as a golfer?
Best advice I've ever received.
I love throwing that question out. It really...
That's a good question, you know. I would say, the best advice I ever received in terms of the golf swing is make a good hip turn. Most people don't think about that. They think about shoulder turns, and it's not about that. It's about a hip turn.
Do you start with your hips? Do you start your rotation with your hips, or your...
I start my rotation with everything, but I make sure that my hip gets rotated, because if you rotate your hip, everything else is in perfect position.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you just rotate your shoulders, I'm not the kind of golfer that, has that big X factor where you hold your hips and turn your upper body and rotate against it. I can't do that. I got to get everything moving and everything moving the other direction. And it's always about the transition,
How did you start playing golf as a kid, or were you
No,
introduced to?
I didn't play a golf. I didn't hit a golf ball until my 40th birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
You had me beat by a couple of years. How did that happen? I always find that fascinating when guys get introduced not through country club life growing up, but just as an adult getting turned on and getting sucked in.
I grew up, high school and college in the 50s and early 60s, and people that played golf were kind of like not in my radar. I was a football, basketball, baseball, track kind of guy.
Yep.
And golfers were always kind of like, I don't know, you kind of looked at them funny. But that's an unknowing thing, not knowing how great the game was and how hard it was to play it. You looked at them like, yeah, come on, man, let's go play football. You want to get tough. But that's kind of that 50s mentality. So I never played golf. My dad played like a fool, but he was in the entertainment business, and he had a lot of free time during the days because he didn't work till 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night. So he was always playing golf, and I went with him a couple times, but I probably hit a golf ball twice in my life before my 40th birthday. So I went to Hawaii to kind of decompress because I'd been working 6 days a week for 5 years straight, and I was nominated for all these Grammys, and my lawyer said to me at the time, why don't we go to Hawaii and hang out for 10 days and you can relax before you go to the Grammy Awards? I said, yeah, great idea. So he and his wife and me and my wife at the time went to the Mauna Kea, which is a great resort on the lava side of the island on Kona. And so I'm laying in the lounge chair down on the beach with a Mai Tai, and he says to me, let's go play golf. And I went, no, man, come on, look at this. What, are you kidding me? He goes, no, let's go play golf. So we went up to the pro shop, we rented clubs, and he said, buy a dozen balls. And I said, why? He said, because you're going to lose them. I said, nah, I can do this. So I bought 3 balls, a sleeve, and we got to I don't remember if it was the third or the fourth hole. It was a 98-yard par 3 over the water, and I dropped the first 3 immediately. Went back to the pro shop and got a box, a dozen balls, and I dropped them in there, and I was hooked.
That is a weird way to get hooked. It's like, okay.
Went home, joined Riviera Country Club in 1981, and stayed there for 35 years. I just recently left because I got tired of the nonsense that goes on there.
Oh, is that right? You mean just membership nonsense? Or?
Nah, it's run by this Japanese family, and they just do whatever they want and have no concern for the members, and it's all about money, and it's just, you spend $2,000-3,000 a month and get treated like dirt. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. No, there's plenty of places.
Years.
Plenty of places you can join or just play.
Right. No problem.
Right. So
35 years.
Right. And so are you a member of a club now, or what are you doing?
Well, I joined Industry Hills because it's two great golf courses, and I joined the Rancho Park Seniors, which I love playing because I win money there all the time in the skins game. And, I just bounce around, for now. I mean, I haven't really even thought about joining another club, but I probably will at some point,
And do you have a regular group of guys that you play with?
Oh, yeah. I got a bunch of great guys that I play with all the time.
Even after you left Riviera, they're still like, is it a different group of guys now because the other ones are like, no, I'm not?
No, it's mostly all ex-Riviera members that have left as well that are now playing out of Rancho Park.
Oh, so there was a escape from...
When I joined, there was 640 members. It's less than 240 now.
Oh, my. They really have pissed a lot of people off.
Well, and they just, and what's really crazy is, like, if you want to join now and you get a corporate membership, it's $350,000, and it's only good for 25 years. So that means 25 years from now, you have to pay another $350,000.
That's crazy.
This is all part of their little plan, to make things. I don't know. It's kind of run by the owner's daughter now, and she's like.
She comes out of a marketing department of college and has never been on a golf course.
Yeah, kind of groove, and it's a very militant situation, and I just didn't want to contribute to it anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense. But, luckily you live in an area, you still get 12 months a year of golf.
Oh, man, there's plenty of golf courses. That's not an issue.
But is it mostly private clubs down in Southern California like that, or can you...
No, not at all. Are you kidding? Rustic Canyon's one of the great golf courses. It's a public. It's out in Moore Park, and it was designed by Gil Hance. That was one of his early designs, and it's a links course. It's gorgeous. It's a wonderful golf course. Industry Hills has two amazing golf courses, one of which is a U.S. Open qualifier. The Eisenhower course there is sensational. And I play over Bel Air. I play at LA Country Club. I have friends at all these different places, and I don't want for the place to play golf.
Right. And is Roger Gunn the head pro over there? Do you know?
Roger Gunn, the head pro over where?
Gunn at that course in Moore Park. I know he's a...
I believe so.
Yeah, he's been on. We've had him on. He's a great guy and a great
Moore
instructor.
Park Country Club is another great one.
Right.
Moore Park Country Club is another great one.
Uh-huh. So you dropped a little nugget in there in the middle of one of your explanations that I wanted to get to. You said you were nominated for a Grammy. We haven't talked about what you do, and I really am fascinated by the crossing of those two cultures of golf and your world of rock and roll.
Well, it's interesting because I think everybody in rock and roll would like to be in golf, and I think everybody in golf would like to be in rock and roll.
That was really the direction I wanted to head, because it sure does seem that way. I mean, we've heard of a couple of guys, actors too, but we've heard of, like Alice Cooper is the obvious one. Bill Murray's an obvious one, but he's not rock. Well, he is rock and roll comedy, I guess. But Huey Lewis, another guy who's obsessed with golf.
I know Huey forever. His manager, Bob Brown, all the years, and still is, I believe. I was producing Pablo Cruz at the time, which Bob Brown also managed. He's a Northern California manager, and he kept sending me these demos of this band, saying, you got to produce these guys for me. And I'm like, Bob, it's a bar band. And how was I to know it was the greatest bar band ever invented? And it was Huey Lewis. But I knew him when he was a harmonica player, sort of bumping around Marin,
Right. Yep. Yeah,
long before the Huey Lewis in the news.
Yeah, so I was a disc jockey at KSAN in San Francisco, and Pablo Cruz record.
Great station.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I was there at the end of the rock and roll era.
Yeah, K-San. Love that.
It was pretty wonderful. Hey, Liz, I'm going to take a short time out, and we'll be back, and I want to talk more rock and roll and golf, all right?
Okay.
This episode of the Golf Smarter podcast is brought to you by Autoslash.com. Recently, I've been telling you that my annual Golf Buddy trip this March is going to be in San Antonio, Texas. Each year we find, and it's the same guys, we've been doing this for like 16, 17 years, and each year we find a 4-bedroom house on either Airbnb or VRBO, and we rent a good-sized minivan to cover not only for us to be comfortable, but to carry all our clubs. But when we rent our vehicle, it's usually take the best price and forget about it until we check in. Not this year, because we're using Autoslash.com. Have you heard about Autoslash.com? Since I've done my initial booking, I receive emails almost on a daily basis that Autoslash has found lower prices for the same car. You see, once booked, you can track your reservation's pricing, and Autoslash will keep on looking for better deals right up until your pickup date. If you've rented cars before, you're probably aware that rates often drop as you get closer to the pickup date. So you can often save a significant amount of money this way, but you don't have time to do that. Well, here's my favorite part. I don't have to do the work. Autoslash doesn't just check the company that I'm currently booked with. They keep watch on all other companies as well. If Autoslash finds a lower rate, I get an email. I click, I rebook, and I continue to save. I've already rebooked twice because the price that I initially booked the van for was $255, and I'm down to $206 already. That's big. And we're not leaving for 2 more months. And here's some additional music to your ears. The service provided by Autoslash.com is completely free. There are even more benefits to using Autoslash.com, including lower prices than Costco, and I'll share those with you over the next few months. But I want to tell you that Autoslash is partnering with Golf Smarter to give you a $100 Amazon gift card. We're giving away these cards to 3 lucky Golf Smarter listeners who click on the Autoslash banner at golfsmarter.com to enter. Enter as often as you'd like. No purchase necessary. You must be 18 to enter and must be a resident of the United States, District of Columbia, or Canada, excluding Quebec. So while you're entering to win, make sure you take a moment to watch the funny short video that explains how Autoslash.com works. Did I mention that Autoslash.com is free? And you don't have to pay for the car until you pick it up at your destination. So go to golfsmarter.com and click on the Autoslash banner to register for your $100 Amazon gift card. A different winner will be announced on episodes number 681, 682, and 683. I want to thank Autoslash for their interest in talking to the Golf Smarter community, but I really want to thank them for helping me save money on my next car rental. And next time I tell you about them, I bet you anything that I've got even lower prices to brag about. And did I mention that Autoslash is completely free? That's Autoslash.com. All right, Val, so we've just learned that you started playing golf in your 40s. You were well established in your profession, so much so that you were nominated for a Grammy. And now can I go back? Can we talk about your career, your music career for a while?
Sure.
So tell me how you got started being a recording engineer.
Well, being a recording engineer was long down the road after being an artist, because I was an artist and a songwriter and signed to the 2 biggest publishers in L.A. and signed to Lou Adler and Node Records and signed to Clive Davis at Columbia Records. And when I went through all that period, and, from the late 60s into like the early 70s, and I got tired of my life depending on 4 other people, I decided to get into production, and I had a manager who got me a couple of production gigs, and it was artists that were really good, but not like Elton John level, but really good artists. And I kind of realized at that point that I wasn't going to get into any major artists trying to do it from just a production point of view. And the studio that my manager at the time turned me on to was owned and run by a guy named Dave Hassinger, and Dave Hassinger was one of the premier engineers in the 60s and early 70s, and he had done all the early Rolling Stones records, which everybody thought were done in England. They were actually done by Dave at RCA Studios in Hollywood, so Satisfaction, Under My Thumb, 19th Nervous Breakdown, all these
really,
iconic Stones records, and then he also did the Monkey stuff, Last Train to Clarksville, and Daydream Believer, and he did Sam Cooke records, and he produced the first 3 Grateful Dead records, and he recorded the first 3 Jefferson Airplane records. I mean, he was a famous guy, and he made a bunch of money producing, and he bought the Sound Factory in Hollywood. So my friend, my manager at the time, who was co-managing the Rolling Stones in that era when he was working with them, knew of him, and said, "You're going to go work in his studio." So as I struggled to be a producer in his studio and didn't really have much success, he said to me one day, "You got a great pair of ears. Why don't you come to work for me and I'll teach you to be an engineer?" I went, "Okay, why not?" And 6 months into the, learning from him, a friend of mine approached me to make a record. He was a writer, not he was an article literary writer. He wasn't a songwriter, and he got approached by the guy who ran Cap Records and said, so he came to me and he said, "You're working at the Sound Factory. Why don't we make this record there and you can help me with it?" And I went, "Okay, great." So long story short, the band was called El Chicano, and the single was a big hit. We did a remake of Brown Eyed Girl. So that was the beginning. And then shortly after that, Linda Ronstadt and Peter Asher booked time to work with Dave, and he at the time was about 55 and was kind of not really wanting to work in the studio anymore, and he kept pawning me off on them, saying, "Here's my new young hot rod, you got to work with him." And after about a couple of weeks of the being pawned off, they called Dave up and said, "Listen, we like him, you can go home."
How old were you at the time when you started working with Linda Ronstadt?
So I was about 32 or 33 at the time when that, I'd done all the road touring, bands, songwriting, signed artists, all that stuff. And then I started with him. And then what happened with Linda was we did that album, Heart Like a Wheel, and it had 2 #1 singles and a #1 album. And then it just started to roll from there. Wow.
Congratulations. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it's sort of her iconic album.
Yes, no question.
You're No Good, When Will I Be Loved? I mean, When Will I Be Loved actually was a bigger hit single than You're No Good in terms of sales. And, I always thought You're No Good was probably one of the most elegant pop records ever made.
Yeah. And what is it that, was it the success in sales that brought other people to you saying, "I want to work with that guy"? Or was it just the sound? How does that work, that all of a sudden you are in demand?
Word of mouth, that goes very quickly in the grapevine. When you start having #1 singles and #1 albums, people start looking at you.
Yeah.
And, I'm in the Sound Factory, and I'm in the group of the world of people, of the studio guys, the musicians, and the Waddy Wachtells, and the Danny Korchmeyers, and it snowballs, it just gets going, and it did. It got going. I mean, in the end, I have, 9 Grammy nominations.
Wow.
Yeah. And I won 5, including the Record of the Year.
Congratulations. That's pretty amazing. Are you still producing and recording?
Oh, all the time. Are you kidding? I'm working with an artist right now. She's amazing. We just re-recorded we re-recorded a song that I did many years ago with a major artist, and she's 15 years old, and she doesn't sound 15, and she has 1 million followers on Instagram.
That helps.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing how that is an influencer now?
Yeah, and I'm also working with Samantha Mumba, who's, an artist out of Ireland who's was one of the biggest selling artists out of the UK for years.
So I'm curious, can you not share the song that you're recording with this 15-year-old?
Yeah, I can't at the moment. I stopped myself midstream. Yeah, because they're doing a whole promotional campaign behind it. But I can tell you off the record, but I can't let it go.
Okay. And I'll probably forget to ask you after we're done recording anyway.
Yeah. I'll remember. I'll tell you.
So who's on your list of I didn't work with them or I haven't worked with them yet that I would still love to do?
Well, the only one that I could think of, and it's funny you asked that question, is because I live in the same, I'm in the same exact age group, and I grew up with them and the music, and, I made the kind of records that, they made. Is the one person that I would still love to work with is Paul McCartney, because I think I could really make a great record with him and influence him in a way that he hasn't been, because, he works with a lot of young guys, and I don't know that they're not intimidated by who he is and what he's done.
Sure.
I don't know. Who knows?
You wouldn't be. Although that's who you'd want to work with, you'd walk in and go, all right, let's get to work. It's like, oh my God, it's Paul McCartney.
Yeah, no.
You don't care.
Yeah, no.
You created a sound, clearly, that was unique to you, that is your own style, that clearly has worked because you've done so many successful singles and albums. Mm-hmm. But is there a sound that you really were emulating? Is there something that you
No,
look
not
to?
at all. It just sort of developed as I went along.
And what was it that made your sound unique?
Well, it's just very pristine. It just has a clarity to it and a size to it that didn't exist at the time when I was doing it, and I just have a great sense of balance. It's a God-given gift.
Oh, that helps in golf.
Yeah.
Balance is huge. Right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about orally. I have.
I understand. And is there I don't even want to say a type of sound because yours is yours, but is there a genre that you've not been able to crack or not, that you've attempted and it's just it just doesn't feel right?
No, not really. I can make hip-hop records. I can do dance records. I can do pop records today. It's just a different approach,
Okay, let's. All right, that's enough about the recording part because I get obsessive about that. That's because that's how I was raised. But let's talk about golf and rock and roll. Why? What is it about golf and rock and roll that's are simpatico?
Well, they're both show business.
For the everyday player of golf? Is it?
No.
Yeah.
No, for the professional side.
Okay.
For the for the amateur side, I would say it's still pretty much the same. They would, love to be in rock and roll because there's a certain swagger to golf that, it's you one against the sport. It's not like a team thing,
Right.
So, and that's kind of what the music business is like. It's you against the world,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The thing that always, to me, made sense about golf and rock and roll is that rock and roll happens at night, right? And golf does not.
Yeah.
If you're performing...
There's that side of it, too, when you're young. But as you get older, I work from, 10 in the morning till 6 at night, in the studio. Sometimes I'll work later, but that's kind of my peak hours. So,
and there's a lot of musicians who are still not awake at 10 a.m.
Yeah, you're talking to 20-year-olds.
Okay, not professionals.
Yeah, you're talking 20-year-olds because body clocks change, and they change in everyone. So it's not like it's unique to me. As well as I do, the older you get, the less you sleep.
Yeah.
So it's not about, anything other than an age group.
Right. And are there some, guys that you've worked with in the studio that found out your love of golf and said, hey, let's go out and play?
Sure, I played golf with Russ Kunkel. I played golf with a lot of guys that I worked with.
And tell me who's the worst golfer you've played with in the rock and roll world.
I haven't played with any bad ones.
Okay.
All the guys that I hang out with in the music business that play golf are fairly good.
And who impressed you the most? Who were like, whoa, I had no idea you had such game?
Probably the best player in the music business, known personality that I've played with. What's his name? The saxophone player.
Kenny G?
Kenny G.
Oh, my God, I didn't want to go. I was going to go Dave Sanborn originally, but
no, not
I'm
Dave
thinking
Sanborn.
golf.
Definitely not. Kenny G.
Really?
Yeah.
Kenny Gorlick.
He's a pretty good golfer.
No kidding. Yeah, well,
I would say he's like a 2 or 3 handicap.
Yeah, he's been out at some of the high-profile events.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's played there.
Yeah.
Did you ever play at that event up in Tahoe?
No, but my friends who own the Alder Inn next door keep bugging me saying you got to come up and play in that, and they want to get me in it. But I played in the AT&T for 5 years.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
But that was an easy one because in Burlingame, in Hillsborough, I grew up next door to Mary Crosby.
Oh.
Nathaniel and Harry. They lived right up the street from me on Easton Drive. And so years later, I connected with Mary through her then husband, Eb Latimer, and we went on a cruise in the Mediterranean together. My girlfriend at the time, and Mary and Eb, and my girlfriend was a childhood TV star, and she and Mary were acting. It was a Love Boat cruise, paid for and sponsored by, what's his name, who produced the Love Boat, and they would do these summer Mediterranean cruise, the Nile cruise, and they do all their stock footage and acting on the back of the ship. And every day we just get off and go fool around in Ibiza or Marbella or wherever we were. So she saw me hitting golf balls off the back of the boat because they had a deck on the back of this ocean liner where you could hit golf balls into the ocean. So I'm back there banging on golf balls, and she goes, "Hey, why don't you play in my brother's tournament?" And I went, "Okay." So the next thing, I got an invitation to play in the AT&T. I didn't even know what it was.
Oh, did you? Like, who's your brother, or did you?
Oh, I knew her brother. I
Right.
knew Nathaniel and Harry. I mean, I grew up around the corner from them. But But I didn't know what the AT&T was. I didn't know. The year I went was the year they changed the name of the tournament from the Crosby
Clambake?
Yeah, to the AT&T.
Oh, okay.
So I had no idea.
How was your game at that point in your life?
Horrible. I was just starting to play golf. I can remember being, on Spyglass the first day, and they pair you with a touring pro, and I can remember being on Spyglass, and all I did was dig my ball out of the ice plant all day. I was like a 30 handicap, but I got good. I mean, at Riviera, I had a 6 handicap for a long time.
Wow.
I won the Players' Championship there twice.
Congratulations.
And a lot of other tournaments. So
very cool. Very cool. So now we're recovering from the ski injury. Are there any golf injuries that are holding you back right now?
No,
You've
I've
got
never
those
had a
beat?
golf injury. No.
Overall, health is good otherwise.
Well, I had this condition in my right shoulder where it was kind of a combination of a rotor cuff and bursitis, and the doctor was giving me cortisone shots like every 5 or 6 months so that I could lift my arm up above my head and and move it around. And he kept telling me that we were eventually going to have to do surgery, and which I don't, I try to avoid that at all costs.
Sure.
And so one day, and he kept saying that the time periods between the shots would get shorter and shorter, which it was doing. It would start at 6 or 7 months, and then the next it was 5 months, and the next time it was 3 months. And so I was talking to my wife, who is in the health and wellness PR business, and one of her clients makes a product called Astaxanthin. The company's called BioAstin. And if you go to the Ironman tournament in Kona every year, BioAstin,
the triathlon
sponsor. Yep, BioAstin is the sponsor of that, and everybody in the tournament takes this. It's a very strong antioxidant It's made from spirulina, which comes from the ocean. And so anyway, long story short, she said, why don't you try taking this? So I started taking one of these pills every day, and I've gone 14 months without a shot, and my shoulder's fine.
And tell us the name of that product again.
It's called Astaxanthin, and it's made by a company called BioAstin. And you spell Astaxanthin, because I happen to have a bottle right here.
Please, I was going to ask.
It's called Hawaiian Astaxanthin, so it's Aftaxanthin.
Oh, no, wait, it gets hard to... A-F is in Frank?
A-S is in Sam.
Okay.
T is in Tom. A-X is in X-ray. A-N, and then the word thin.
Thin.
T-H-I-N. So it's Astaxanthin.
Astaxanthin.
Hawaiian Astaxanthin. And it's a vegan formula, and it comes in soft gels, and it's made by this company, BioAstin, which they're the sponsors of Ironman.
Wow. All right, well, that's a great
tip. And everyone
tip.
that's won Ironman has taken it and takes it daily. And I even gave it to my orthopedic doctor, Dr. Knapp. I gave him a bottle and said, do some research, because I said, it's totally... I mean, he knows better than anybody. I've gone 14 months without a shot. You know?
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Killer.
So I got 3 takeaways from this today. The Astaxanthin, rotate your hips, and don't play golf with Kenny G.
That's right. No, don't bet against him.
Don't bet. Val, it was so great to talk to you. Thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
And continued success.
Thank you so much.
I want to give you an update on what's happening for February, because this Friday, my wife and I are taking a trip that we've been talking about ever since we met. We're about to spend 2 weeks in Uganda, going on safari, trekking with chimps, and trekking with gorillas. You can imagine, maybe you can't imagine this kind of adventure travel, but we're really, really excited. So, if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Golf Smarter, I'll do my best to post photos along the trip, and the video will be there at some point. Anyway, but in the meantime, I just want you to know that I'm not going to forget about you and have been planning this for a number of months. Luckily, I can schedule new episodes to publish at specific dates, whether I'm here or not. So next week, we'll meet author Paul Cervantes. Now, in addition to his new historical fiction novel about the very first American to win the U.S. Open, J.J. McDermott, he's also the writer that partnered with Tony Manzoni on The Lost Fundamental. And in that episode, we'll be making an announcement about The Lost Fundamental that so many of you have written to me about. Then for the next 2 episodes after that, I'm going to dig into our archives for episodes with Tony Manzoni that you probably have never heard unless you've been listening since 2013 or earlier. And that leads me to another item that I want to discuss with you. If you've been getting my emails, you know that this is a topic of conversation. Since iTunes and all the podcast apps out there only carry about 300 episodes, which makes sense because most of them are dated and not worthwhile. But for Golf Smarter, it means that there are nearly 400 great lessons and stories in our archives that are really hard to find. Even if you've gone to our website, they're still hard to find. So I've decided to launch a new podcast that will run on the end of each week. So Golf Smarter is going to be on Tuesdays, and the new one will be on Friday or Thursday or Saturday. I'm not really sure when, but I need your help. I don't know what to call it. There's a long list of potential names, but if you have a preference, a suggestion, then of course I'd love to hear from you. Now here's what I've got so far. Golf Smarter Classics, Golf Smarter again, Golf Smarter Mulligans, Golf Smarter Free Drop, Golf Smarter Gimmies. Thoughts? Ideas? Now, if all goes according to schedule, the new show will launch around the time of the 2019 Masters. Hey, if you want to be one of 3 lucky winners to get a $100 Amazon gift card from AutoSlash, you can register by clicking on the AutoSlash banner at golfsmarter.com, or if you can remember this, just go directly to golfsmarter.com/AutoSlash. That sounded strange. Yeah, backslash. AutoSlash, one word. Okay. There's new shows coming your way for the next couple weeks, but I'll talk to you again in March. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GolfSmarter, or click on the Hey Fred button at golfsmarter.com.